Hey everyone, my name is Ryan McCauley, and this is my research proposal called Identifying State Ideologies and Efforts Against Climate Change. So, I begin with talking a little bit about climate change and how global warming has become one of the top and most popular issues that America faces. Um, I also believe that we have to exploit what we do know about climate change, such as higher temperatures, rising sea levels, etc. And then we're going to look at how public opinion plays into what states are doing against climate change and see if there is a relationship. So, my previous findings. Um, in my proposal, I'm going to focus on two specific variables. One revolves around the American public opinion, and two revolves around state activity against climate change, which by activity I mean bills signed into law. But before I propose this actual test, we're going to look at what each variable is individually first. So, the American public opinion. Um, After looking at many different public opinions and surveys, uh, I found that results did vary, but being popular ways to obtain information, I thought it was important to use them. Um, and looking at all these different surveys and finding different things, one of the most interesting that I found was by the Pew Research Center that compared America's top threats. So, here we have the US, Canada, Europe, Middle East, Asia Pacific, Latin America, and Africa. And it asked each of them to rank what they believe to be the top global threats that they face. And as you can see, right here, only 40% of the US said global climate change was a top global threat, while the most ranked North Korea's nuclear program, and only two ranked lower than global climate change, which were U.S. power and influence and political instability in Pakistan, which is why I named this slide Really, America? But Yale says otherwise. So Yale University conducted a major survey and analyzed four specific states, which were California, Colorado, Ohio, and Texas. A lot of information was found, but after reading through everything, there were two key findings that I found really important and that could be useful to this proposal. And that was that 79% of California and 70% of the other three states believed global warming was happening. Then, when asked if our government should reduce emissions regardless of the actions of other countries, the states answered as followed. California ranked at 73%, Colorado at 69%, Ohio at 59%, and Texas at 55%. So now we look at activity at the state level. Um, in looking at all the different states and what they've done, California is definitely the top or one of the top states in its activity, discussion, everything against climate change. And one of the key players in that was former Governor Gray Davis, who I found this very, very interesting, actually worked with Quebec up in Canada and in adopting new cap and trade policies. And these cap and trade policies actually took off and they became so popular and beneficial that a lot of uh, other states in America took notice of that, and even other parts of the world noticed what they were doing. Um, and then, again, in my research, I found one map from Columbia Law School that identified each state and ranked them, which I'm about to show you, and it ranked them according to their action and discussion regarding climate change. So here we go. I call this Holy Coasts because category 1 is little or no activity and wrong or no discussion regarding climate change. And I found they use the word wrong discussion to be very interesting because um, this specific study found that a lot of states were actually misinforming people about different things in climate change. So, then we look at category 2, which is further action in better discussion, 3, and then 4 is obviously the most action and the most and correct discussion against climate change. And if you look, this is really important that you notice that all the coasts, or most of the coasts, are either 3 or 4, especially right here and then on the west coast. Um, and that should tell a lot. It's not hard to see that coastal states are taking climate change far more seriously than inland states, and that should send red flags to a lot of people, especially those living in the inland states. So, to my proposal, the data and methods. This proposal is going to focus on 3 public opinion polls from Stanford University as my independent variables. Then for my dependent variable, I'm going to propose that we use the number of climate change bills that were signed into law by each state from 2012 to 2014. And using a regression analysis, I believe that we can find if there is a relationship or how strong the relationship is between these public opinion polls and the actual activity in state legislature um, in the two. So the first of my independent variables is a public opinion poll that asked, has global warming been happening? And as you can see, a lot of the coastal states typically answer higher than the inland states. But if you would notice that a lot of people, almost every single state, a pretty much overwhelming majority recognized that global warming was happening. Then this was interesting. Should the government do more? And only a few states with less than the majority didn't support that. But again, the coastal states widely supported more government action. And then this one, should the government take action regardless of the actions of other countries? And even more people supported this, and again, especially the coastal states. So now we're going to look at the bills and the activity within the states. So according to the National Conference of State Legislatures, in 2012, only 14 states enacted 23 bills and signed them into law. And then in 2013, 17 states plus Washington, D.C. signed 28 bills into law. And then so far in 2014, only 18 states have signed 26 bills into law. And just to show you, because I couldn't fit this in a slide, this is what that looks like by each state in the year. And as you can see, California leading the way, and what each state has done. So, in conclusion, there definitely appears to be a relationship between public opinion and state legislature. However, the issue of climate change is still evolving, and depending on the public opinion polls, your data will vary. As we can see, public opinion within coastal states are definitely higher than that of inland states. And when we do this test, we're going to be able to see how much stronger that relationship is. But there definitely is there's a strong correlation between public opinion and the creation of these climate change laws. And in order, going forward, in order for us to keep passing more bills and more laws, more public opinion must come out and more people must show their support for climate change. So, that's my proposal, and I hope you all enjoyed. I look forward to the feedback and looking at everyone else's proposals as well. Thank you very much.